Welcome back to the Grow Your Business for Good show. If you tuned in to part one of this topic, you know we're breaking down 19 smart, sustainable ways to grow your business without relying on social media.
Welcome to the Grow Your Business for Good show. This is a place where coaches and consultants gather so you can learn how to lead a world-class business that does not tax your time, your energy, or your financial resources. We are your hosts, M. Shannon Hernandez
and Amy Hager of the Joyful Business Revolution. And our number one goal is to bring you clarity and insight on how to grow your business for good. So in part one, we covered the first 8 strategies from email marketing to hosting connection table dinners. And today we're diving into the remaining 11. And these are the ones that I feel like we think are the best. I'm going to say the best when it comes to building a relationship first business.
So if you're ready to ditch the algorithm dependency and create a business that it feels aligned, joyful, and genuinely human, you're in the right place.
So I think the first one that we're kicking off with today, attending in-person events, really nothing beats that real human to human connection. And being able to show up with your business card and, if you're a live in person content personality type, obviously this is right up your alley. If you've never taken our content personality quiz, we'll put the link in the show notes. But I'm live in person. I love attending in-person networking events, in-person conferences. And, I do have to watch my energy to make sure that I don't burn out. And I think how I attend in-person events now compared to 10, 15 years ago is very, very different. But it really, the deeper conversations that you sometimes get to have in person that maybe from the keynote speech that you heard or from remarks that were given at the in-person event, I think it makes it really, really easy to find that common thread to go deep with people.
Yeah. And I just want to clarify here, an event could be a yoga class, an art, paint and sip. I go to a painting in Central Park. So we're not just talking industry events, right? We're just talking about living your joyful life. Imagine, right? And what we often know and what our clients discover is if we go and do the things that we love anyway, the yoga, the painting, the cooking class, we often meet people who share other similar interests with us once we're there. So we're not just talking about industry events or networking events, but I want you to really, do some brainstorming around what are some of your hobbies and your passions. And if you've let those go, please go buy my book called Practical Joy, Simple Tools to Cultivate More Joy every day, because it's going to help you get back into those passion projects and explore those hobbies that sometimes we forget as we're growing our businesses. So the next one we want to talk about is speaking at conferences. Amy, you've been going to quite a few conferences lately. Y'all,
Yeah.
there was one time last week, or maybe it was the week before, and I'm like, I'm so glad you're home. And she's like, I'm not home. I'm in wherever the hell she was. I don't know. Because she was in like 4 places within a week and a half. So, Amy, what have you been doing lately on the conference front?
Yeah, I think the cool thing about speaking at conferences is it really does help you establish that authority or that expertise. And, I think it's really important when you're speaking from stage to have a way to grow your list and to grow conversations. And so that's my main focus and again, my main strategy. And I've been at this for a long time speaking at conferences. I think the first conference I ever spoke at was back in 2010. And so really being able to get on a stage, whether if it's a stage in front of 20 people or 700 people, gives you that opportunity to really step into that expert knowledge and guide an audience to see things through a new lens. And so this is probably one of my favorite. I know I keep saying a lot of these are my favorite, but they are. This is probably one of my favorite ways to really market outside of social media.
Yeah. And I'm going to give you bonus points if you go and speak at a conference and you have a QR code or some sort of call to action that leads into a lead magnet.
Hmm.
That is key because, we do all these things, a lot of them joyful, but at the end of the day, we're going to remind you back to number one on the list. We love email marketing. So building your list is part of that. All right, Amy, SEO, blogging, and AEO. Now, I am not qualified to talk about AEO, all right, which is AI generated something, something. Okay. So if that's a strategy you want, please don't come to me for that. But I do want to talk about SEO blogging, right? And that blogging is not dead. So, Amy, what's your hot take nowadays on blogging?
Well, one, like Shannon said, it's absolutely not that. And I do think that there's some principles of blogging that still really hold true that were that happened when blogging first came around, right? It does. It gives your website fresh content for those bots, whether they're AI bots or the Google bots or whatever search engine bots, to find you. It gives you a way to use the content that you're hearing your clients say or how they may Google a question to really draw. I mean, Shannon, I'm pretty sure you were there the year that I hosted Marcus Sheridan, the sales lion. And all his blogs were just the questions that his customers were coming in and asking him. And then he was turning them into a blog. And it's literally that simple. And so I think really blogging is a great way for you to create that new content that's for your website that can really be picked up by those search engines.
Yeah. And I cannot iterate this enough. Your blog, if you're going to blog, it needs to be your voice, your
Mhm.
long form content, stuff nobody could find anywhere else, said in a way that sounds fresh and appealing or controversial. I don't care. The point here is do not go to ChatGPT or some other AI and think it's going to write a blog for you that's unique. It's not. It's just using everyone else's stuff. All right. So in this brand, we prioritize one blog a month. And that blog is usually 1,500 to 1,000, 2,000 words, right? It's a hefty blog. But the bonus is it's so well thought out and it is what people are thinking about, in terms of marketing and messaging for their business. But we use that blog and then turn it into podcast episodes. We use that blog and turn it into, LinkedIn newsletter. I have a newsletter over on LinkedIn, right? So, yes, we put a lot of time into a blog, but we find other ways to use it, including sending snippets out to our list and then sending them over to read the blog. So, get creative here, but please don't be lazy and do not ask ChatGPT to write blog posts for you. They will not be good blog posts.
No, and so this also brings me to another idea, guest blogging. When you can get in front of a new audience and build backlinks to really share your thought leadership, that is also super helpful. But please do not use ChatGPT to write your guest blogs. Make sure it is your voice. Just like we talked about before, make sure the collaborator is aligned with you and make sure that there's those value alignments so that you're in front of an audience who isn't going to read your stuff and be like, whoa, where did this person come out of left field?
Yeah. I did a lot of guest blogs for my first book, which was a memoir about why I left public education. It's no longer in print, it's no longer available. But that was one of my big strategies. And so I found education blogs. It was an easy niche to go find people who wanted education reform. Um, you know, those made great places with aligned audiences for my book. So that was a very good strategy during that time. And I haven't done many guest blogs since then, and that's okay. I have other, we're talking about 19 ways, so you can't do them all. So you got to go with your
Right.
joy here. Go with your joy. That's what we say. All right, I
Well,
want
this,
to talk about newsletter takeovers, which is number 13. Now, I have never done this. It intrigues me. Okay. I have been on lists where I've gotten um an email that says, "Hey, um, Ellie Trayer is on vacation for the whole month of August, and I'm taking over her newsletter this week." And it's somebody's, now she's approved the content and she trusts the person. It's not like the person just hacked into her Go High Level or something and like typed up something, right? But I kind of like this idea of newsletter takeovers. Um, I like it from the standpoint of just getting a new voice into my audience,
Mhm.
and a new take on things. And I also like it from the stance of me being able to do the same on a aligned partner, right? Or aligned entrepreneur, to get featured in their newsletter. And I don't know, Amy. I've been toying with this. I know I haven't told you this, but this is one of the things I'm like, this kind of sounds fresh and fun. So, do you think we should try this in our strategy?
I mean, I could see where it would be an experiment that we could do, and maybe it's something we add for like our fall season or even winter season. But I think that you're right. It gives you a great chance to get in front of a new audience. And again, it's always coming back. I don't know how many times we have to say this, or we will keep saying it. It always comes up to value aligned opportunities with people that you really trust and that you would trust your audience with, right? Because you don't want to be so far off that people unsubscribe because they don't want to hear from this new person. And trust me, there's a ton of different ways or avenues you can kind of look at how to execute this on the platform email side. But I think it could be something fun that we play with. Who knows?
All right, I'll put it into the mix.
Okay, I love that. Well, number 14 is volunteering. So giving back with no agenda, and it's really amazing what relationships can be created when you do volunteer. Shannon, do you have a really good story around that one?
Um, I mean, I do quite a bit of volunteering in different ways. I am looking at joining United Women, which is a United Way chapter in New Jersey specifically for women leaders. And
Mhm.
what's interesting to me about that one is they focus on a cause that I deeply believe in. And so Northern New Jersey has a United Way women, um, part partners, we'll call them,
Mhm.
and we are trying to help ease the lives of families who are working, um, one, two, or three jobs and still having to make decisions like, does my daughter, do I get to buy my daughter the cheerleading outfit for the team, or should I, should isn't the right word, or would my money be better spent on physicals and dental care? Right?
Yeah.
So it's a threshold of women who have families and they're making maybe the bare minimum of what they can make using, working as much as they can work and take care of their family and having to make those tough choices. So that's really compelling to me, is being
Yeah.
able to, we do things like soup luncheons and get the ladies in to, network with each other and have a break. There's skills development, perhaps for interviewing, helping them go shopping for clothes for new jobs and interviews. So to me, that's the most current thing on my list for volunteering.
Yeah.
I have a friend, Nina. Some of you may know Nina. She has partnered with us in many ways over the years. She is a volunteer pruner for New
Hmm.
York City.
Yeah.
So she will walk around up and down the sidewalks with her big pruning tool and cut tree limbs that
Yeah.
are obstructing wires and hitting cyclists in the face when they go through the bike lane. So go find something you love
I
and
think that's the
volunteer.
key. Yeah, I think that's the key. Finding something you love. I have a friend who volunteers at the museums in DC, so she's a greeter to make sure people know which way to go through the museums. I think one of the funnest volunteer things I'm doing right now is, our community does an entrepreneurship boot camp, and I'm one of the faculty members. So every time they run this boot camp, I go in and I teach. And, I don't think any of these people are going to be future clients of ours because they're not quite far enough in their business. It's still very much so in that idea phase. A lot of them are opening brick and mortars within my community, but I live in a community that we really need to continue to revitalize and to continue to think about the economic impact that we make. And so I go to a lot of strategic conversations within my community, and I volunteer my time that way because that's an important piece to really see that we grow sustainably and in a way that actually supports the environment and keeps the beautiful area that we live in beautiful. So it's really values aligned again with your volunteering efforts. Shannon, I'm going to really kind of let you take this one since you've authored 2 books now, but write a book, building that long-term credibility. Nothing does it better than a book. And I think you can also really use that as like the ultimate lead magnet because it goes on store shelves and gets passed around. And so talk to us a little bit about your books.
Yeah. Well, my first book is no longer in print, which I just talked about, which is my final 40 days as a public school teacher. But it was a great lead magnet for all kinds of, I even went to Boston to appear on a radio show. Like they wanted to
Yeah.
hear what I had to say about leaving a career for 15 years. My new book, the baby book, I call it. The baby book is Practical Joy, Simple Tools to Cultivate More Joy Every Day. And that book, just to tie it into the United Way story I just told, they've asked me if would you be interested in getting in front of 50,000 United Way members and doing a joy class and we can offer your book. And I said, absolutely. So you can see just showing up to volunteer and then they find out you have a book and now another door has opened, right?
Right.
You can also get really creative with your books. If you have a book and you want to either reintroduce it, you want to revive it, maybe you got sick of marketing it for a while. There's really fun things we can help you do to use the book you've already written to get onto stages, to get into, you know, build a fun campaign for your email list, revitalize the book, revitalize the interest in your book, find a new kind of hot take on a relevant issue and kind of take it from there. So if you've written a book and it's kind of just sitting there, let's chat, please. We have so many fun ideas
Oh,
for
yeah.
getting that book revitalized.
Yeah, right now, one of my favorite authors and clients that we have is Christina Connors, and she has this very cute children's book, and she's got a QR code on pages so that it goes to her YouTube channel, and then there she's going in deeper and giving more stories about these different characters. And so I think a book is a fun way for you to be able to really get your name out there in a much different way. So speaking about being different, these next 4, I think, are probably the most non-traditional, and you're probably like, ladies, come on, are these marketing? And so, but I want to bring them to light, okay? And the first one, saying yes. When you try new things, maybe going up to a pop-up art show or joining a retreat or doing something that you normally wouldn't do, it's amazing who you meet at these things and who you meet when you say yes. And just like I had spoke, I think on the last episode, I met someone recently who every day she's trying to meet someone new. And it literally just takes that yes to say, hey, I want to meet you. You want to meet me? Who knows what amazing things will happen? I suggested her to be on a podcast that I recently was on. So say yes is one. Shannon, when has there been a time that you've said yes that maybe you normally wouldn't say yes to it and something beautiful happened?
Yeah. Well, I said yes to going to Bali, and
Hmm?
I've been to Bali before, so it was like, it's a very long plane ride, blah blah, all the things. But I would like to go back to Bali, and I said yes, and I was there, and I had the most amazing experience. And we've now signed one, two, I don't know, 2 clients, and another one's in the books. And I just cannot reiterate this enough. Go do the things you love. Your people are there. Say
Yeah.
yes and try new things. Another thing I did once, which was really out of the ordinary, I was riding my bike and there was this pop-up vegan food expo
Mm.
at this place. And I was like, I rode by and I was like, oh, that'd be fun. And then I was like, and I was like, turn around and go back. And I locked up the bike and I went inside and I met the owner of Tamerlane Farm in New Jersey, who I have now been able to help for years and support their marketing, support their cause of rescuing animals. I introduced a vegan Oktoberfest years ago that's still going strong. It's one of their biggest fundraisers. Um, I mean, that's just a couple of ways. And I'm going to go ahead and go into number 17 because it kind of goes with this idea of saying yes, and it's step away from like the normal, right? Step away from the normal. So resting creates space for your brain. Resting and stepping away helps get clarity or confirmation that you're on the right track. But oftentimes, our best marketing in this brand and your best marketing is going to come when you unplug and your brain works in a different way, right?
Yeah.
It's focused on drawing circles. It's focused on hiking in nature. Like those are the subconscious, deep, restful breaks that your brain needs to come up with better marketing ideas and better ways to grow your business. So step away and rest is number 17.
Number 18 is one of my faves, especially since we're talking about getting off social media, is set the phone down. Stop scrolling and really think about how can you start creating? How can you prioritize deep work over reactionary content? And when we really stop scrolling, I think that gives us that chance to really look within, build that deeper confidence. We're not comparing ourselves. We're not seeing all the other things that everyone else is doing. And, if it's hard for you to break that stop scrolling, I work with our clients all the time on stuff like this. And we've got one client where she would just doom scroll all the time and it was sabotaging her business. And so we've set that parameter where she's only allowed to get on social media in the morning. And once that happens, she has to be off for the rest of the day. And if she doesn't make her social media post as part of her marketing strategy, we're not making her run for it either. And so instead, she's been walking her dog and catching the sunrise. Instead of being on my phone, I've been putting together puzzles. And so, really setting down that phone and doing something else with your hands, with your feet, with your body, it really, really helps you to connect more deeply.
Amy,
Shannon, do you want to take?
do you mean puzzles like jigsaw puzzles?
I don't know, like the 1,000 piece puzzles. I'm doing
Yes,
that on an
jigsaw.
Iceland sunset right now.
Okay, that's fun. Yeah,
Super hard.
I'm your classic doom scroller. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not a doom scroller. I guess if it brings me to doom, but I don't get to doom and gloom because I choose joy. However, and that's number 19, so quick preview. Um, what I do want to say is I decided probably 3 weeks ago, well, it's probably been about 6 weeks, um, that I was going to check my social in the morning on my phone and check my social in the evening, and they were going to be 20-minute blocks.
Yeah.
And that was it. And the reason that's important for me, okay, is I'm way past the comparison trap. I don't find myself doing that, but I know it's a real thing. Um, the reason it was important for me is because I was finding that I was pinning on Pinterest or Instagram, saving all the things I wanted to create in my art studio, but doing no creating. And
That
I
makes
realized this was like a pattern for me, right?
Yeah.
The other thing, as a human design manifesting generator, I can log into Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever right now, and the first post I see, my brain wants to just go make a post out of it and make content, like develop an email and do a story. And y'all, I don't need to do that. So I had to learn my own patterns and then say, okay, this is a creation energy. I want to make beautiful things. So I'm pinning on Pinterest. Why don't I just actually go to my studio and create something beautiful, right? So you have to learn to look at your triggers, in the social media world, and why are you picking that phone up, and what is really underneath that. And it's not easy. I'm not going to tell you that it's easy, because it's taken me probably 3 or 4 years to address this issue. So I've got thousands of pins of things that I could be creating, and now I'm doing them, and it feels good.
All right, so then the last one, choose joy. When you build your business that's really aligned with your joy, people feel it. And this is 100% what the Joyful Business Revolution really is based on. This is the deep, deep belief that Shannon and I have. And like Shannon just shared, she's choosing joy. She's choosing to go create instead of be on her phone. And so I'll ask you, what joy can you choose today? It's such a beautiful question to ask yourself in the morning.
Yeah, and remember our mantra. And if you're listening, you're part of our Joyful Business Revolution family. If it ain't joyful, we ain't doing that shit. So I just want to say this. I'm going to go on the record and say this. We have just given you, over the past 2 episodes, 19 ways to grow your business off of social. If social media, if you've lost your joy, you've lost your love affair with it, you're losing your sanity because of it, right? Or you're just looking for some new ways to market your business and be in community with people, please re-listen to these 2 episodes, because this is a wrap of all 19, right? If you've been burned out, overwhelmed, or you're just plain over it when it comes to social media, we hope that these 2 episodes and these 19 topics gave you permission to think differently and some real ways to go take action.
Yeah, and so, I want to make sure this is practical. When you're trying one of these or just a few of them, I don't want you to try all 19 of these. The key is to really build a marketing ecosystem that works for you and a strategy that really honors your energy and your goals and your joy. And, that is exactly what we help our clients to do. And so if you're sitting here listening to this episode and you want to book a 20-minute strategy call with me, the link is in the show notes. I will help you figure out your next best marketing moves if it's off social media. And, whether you're scaling, you're wanting to streamline, or you're just really starting to ditch the social scroll, you do not need to do this alone. And I think that's really, really important. You do not need to figure this out alone. And it is going to come clear from being in conversation and community.
And not only is this a wrap for all 19, but this is a wrap for season 10. Amy and I will be hard at work planning season 11 for you, for the Grow Your Business for Good show. And one thing I want to say, your business does not need to go viral to be wildly successful. And viral businesses often fail, but I won't go there now. But that's a social media thing you often hear. I want to go viral. So let's just debunk that myth. And I want you to choose strategies that feel aligned, and don't forget to step away from the algorithm and back into your joy. We'll see you next season. Adios.
Bye.